This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, they have brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you have to use the link preparewith.nyprepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life, and it's all contained within 6 rugged, watertight buckets. So it doesn't take up a lot of space. Pretty much anyone can find the space in their home to fit 6 buckets, and it'll cover you for 3 months. And it's a variety of food, lunches, breakfasts, dinners, drinks, snacks, free shipping included, 25% off their normal price. Use the link preparewith.nyprepper.com to get the discount. They also have a 2-week emergency food supply, which is excellent for outdoorsmen or people who go vehicle camping. You don't have to worry about rotating anything. You don't have to worry about your preps going bad. Just store this stuff in a temperature stable location, not too cold, not too hot, stable throughout the year, and it will last 25 years. They also have a general store. If you click the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewith.nyprepper.com, it'll take you to their general store where they have everything you can imagine, from potassium iodide to water filters, solar generators, solar panels, survival seeds, fire starters, anything you can imagine, it's all there. So use the link preparewith.nyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month freeze-dried food supply. And the link is in the description below this video. What's going on, guys? Let me know if you can hear me, and let me know if you can see me. How's everybody doing tonight? What's going on, Soil Radio Operator, God's Soldiers Watchman, Jacqueline James, Jackie M, T.W. Perry, Ross Snyderman, Smoking Swamp, Mr. Landfill, K. Paul. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate you guys. Uncle Mike, Joe Romanino. What's up, Joe? How's it going? Good to see you in here. Juliana Rose, Chad Dominic from Austin, Texas. Betty R, Lee Billy. Hope you guys are having a great evening. The Zug says, hey from Niagara Falls. Sean Guinness says, hello from Camp Defiance, Oklahoma. How's it going? Thanks to all the moderators for showing up tonight. Somebody asked me why I'm late with my stream. I do that on purpose. I always start the stream usually like 15 minutes after the scheduled time to allow people to enter the chat, because it takes time for people to get the notification from the time they get notified till they join in. So I like to give it about 15 minutes for everybody to join in before I get started. So that's pretty much standard practice for all my streams. I always start my streams at least 10 to 15 minutes usually after the scheduled time. So that's what most people do. If you look at any people on YouTube that have a good size following, they always wait a few minutes for everybody to show up. So it's not like I'm the only one that does that. But if you don't like it, you can leave. Nobody's forcing you to be here. I'm providing free information to you. I'm not charging you for it. So if that bothers you, then just leave, Jackie M, thank you for the super chat. They appreciate it. Vanessa Dubois, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you so much, and thanks for all your support. Pamela, thank you so much for your donation. Jackie M, happy Friday, Jackie M. Diva's mom, thank you so much. And Brian Melso, thank you so much for your donation. Thanks for keeping us all informed. Keep it going. I definitely will. I have a lot of cool things planned for this channel. I'm going to be doing a lot of cool stuff, not just breaking news, but other stuff. So stay tuned, and you're going to see some really cool stuff on this channel. I'm going to continue with my Dark Winter fictional series on nuclear war survival. That's going to be starting up very soon. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about that. So that's coming back very, very soon. Salanenki says, hello from Russia, watching you from Moscow. Wow, that's awesome. That's crazy. Wow. I'm surprised I'm not banned in Russia. That's cool. That's cool. I saw that it's pretty cold and snowy over there in Moscow. So stay warm. Levon W says hello from Somerset, Pennsylvania. Somerset's a nice area. I was there last year for the Flight 93 Memorial and the Q Creek mine site. I have a video from those areas. So Salanenki says, no, you're not banned. We can still watch you. That's really cool that you're watching from Moscow. That's really cool. That's awesome. So I'm going to get started with the breaking news. A lot of stuff to go through here. So just stand by 1 minute. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Got some pretty serious headlines to go through. Let me actually start off with the flight tracker. I'll show you guys what kind of flights we got going on right now. Show you guys what's going on here. So we currently have a nuclear war command and control plane that took off from Tinker Air Force Base, which is the home base of the nuclear war command and control planes. It's heading west towards California, which is pretty interesting. Okay, they usually don't fly that far south in like Southern California area, so that's pretty interesting. And then we also have an interesting flight here. We have this looks like a U.S. reconnaissance plane that flew all the way from the UK, from Mildenhall, flew all the way from Mildenhall to Saudi Arabia. This is really interesting. Looks like it's flying to the Persian Gulf. And we do have some word coming out from Bloomberg that the U.S. is planning some kind of a strike on Yemen, and they're consulting with allies right now as we speak. So we could see some kind of massive retaliation against Yemen and also against the militias in Iraq. Last night, our embassy was hit with rockets, and the entire green zone in Baghdad was peppered with rockets and mortars from the Iranian militias in Iraq. So the green zone is like an area where all the embassies are in Baghdad. All the diplomats and VIPs are there. And so our embassy was targeted by several rockets and mortars last night. So that's very concerning, okay? They're now going after our embassy, guys. They're going after our bases. They're going after our ships. They're going after our embassies, okay? When are we going to do something about it? But we do have some breaking news coming in from Bloomberg. Let me read this to you. This is pretty serious stuff. U.S. in talks with Gulf allies on military action against the Houthis. Discussions ongoing on how to deal with attacks on the Red Sea. Iran-backed Houthis are targeting Israeli-linked ships from Yemen. So apparently the U.S. has been consulting with allies, okay, in the region for potential military action against the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Talks are in preliminary stage, okay? So, that's pretty serious stuff. This is coming from Bloomberg. Bloomberg is the first one to report this. And we may also do some strikes on the Iranian militias in Iraq. We got hit hard today. Our bases got hit hard by the Iranian militias. They hit multiple bases. Apparently, there were at least 11 attacks on 6 different bases today in Iraq and Syria. Okay, 11 attacks, rocket and drone attacks on 6 different bases. Our bases, okay, U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria today. That's insane. Okay, so, they hit our embassy last night. Now they're hitting our bases today. There was another ship in the Red Sea that was ordered to turn around by the Houthi rebels. So this is crazy, guys. Okay, things are really spiraling out of control. It's really getting crazy out there. So make sure you guys are prepared. Things are going to get really, really crazy in the coming months. What we're seeing now is just the beginning. Okay, it's only going to get worse and worse. We're going to see more terrorist attacks. We're going to see more wars. Venezuela is going to attack Guyana soon. We're going to see an escalation between Israel and Hezbollah. I think that Israel is going to go after Hezbollah. Potentially Iran may get involved. The president of Iran went to Russia and met with Putin today, or actually yesterday, which is funny. Putin met with all these Middle Eastern leaders this week. So I don't know if they're planning to do something soon, and that's why he's suddenly meeting all of them. Like hosting the Iranian president. He went to Saudi Arabia and the UAE on Wednesday. So I don't know if they're planning something, but it's getting crazy, guys. Okay, maybe they're going to launch some kind of attack. Who knows? Mr. Landfill, thank you for donating 10 memberships. I hope you're having a great night. And I'm going on break. Thank you so much for the donation. Just want to say that I appreciate all the hard work and time you put into these videos to keep us all updated and informed. Thank you so much for the donation and for the kind words. I'm going on break. Thank you very much. Morgatha, thank you for the donation. Thanks for what you do. I wish I could send more. John Montgomery, I think it is. Sorry, I can't be more subjected to Biden's economic screw job. That's funny. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's very generous of you, and thanks for the kind words. Random BS, thank you for the donation. I drive semis and been noticing suspicious stuff. What kind of suspicious stuff have you been noticing? And Joe Courtney, thank you for the donation. Greg, how much water does a 4-person family need? It's a great question. Depends on the time frame and how long, but you figure, 1 gallon per person per day. That's usually the best, safest approach. You could get by with a half a gallon per person per day, but it's better to just go higher and say 1 gallon per person per day. That's usually the formula that I use. So I hope that helps you out. Joker says, thank you for the constant updates. No problem. Roaming Prepper, what's going on, Roaming Prepper? Big cat sightings UK says, hello, Greg, from Oxford, UK. Wow. It's always cool to see all the international viewers here. It's really cool to see that. So I'm going to just continue with some of the breaking news, but that's huge news. The U.S. Is consulting with allies on some kind of a strike on Yemen, possibly. This is being reported by Bloomberg. I want to read to you about the U.S. Embassy. This is coming from Reuters. U.S. Embassy in Baghdad struck with 7 mortars as attacks escalate. Approximately 7 mortar rounds landed in the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad during an attack early on Friday. A U.S. military official told Reuters in what appeared to be the largest attack of its kind in recent memory. U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria were also targeted with rockets and drones at least 5 more times on Friday, 3 times at separate bases in Syria and twice at the Al-Assad air base west of Baghdad, a different U.S. defense official said. The attacks were the most recorded against U.S. forces in the region in a single day since mid-October, when Iran-aligned militias started targeting U.S. assets in Iraq and Syria over Washington's backing of Israel in its war against Hamas in Gaza. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, in a call with Iraq's Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, condemned the attacks and singled out Iran-aligned armed groups and for the recent targeting of U.S. personnel. So huge news, guys. 7 mortars, they're saying. 7 mortars attacked the U.S. Embassy. I think it's more than that. 7 seems a little bit light. And I don't think it was mortars. I think these were grad rockets, because I have video footage. I can't show it here, unfortunately. I showed it last night and they tried to demonetize the stream, so I cannot show it here. But there is footage out there. If you look it up, on social media, of Baghdad under attack, and they had these warning sirens going off in Baghdad, telling people to duck and cover and get away from windows. All right, so it was. I heard multiple explosions. I heard. I don't think it was just 7, but that's the official story. The United States reserves the right to respond decisively against those groups, Austin told Sudani, according to a Pentagon statement summarizing the call. The embassy attack marked the first time it had been fired on in more than a year, apparently widening the range of targets. Dozens of military bases housing U.S. forces have been attacked, increasing fears of a broadening regional conflict. No group claimed responsibility, but previous attacks against U.S. forces have been carried out by Iran-aligned militias operating under the banner of the Islamic resistance in Iraq. The U.S. military official, speaking on the condition of anonymity, left open the possibility that more projectiles were fired at the embassy compound but did not land within it. Okay, so that makes sense, because I saw the videos and I heard multiple explosions, more than 7, much more than 7. So the military official, speaking on anonymity, said that it's possible that more projectiles were fired but didn't land in the compound. So they actually hit our embassy, guys. They hit the embassy. We don't know what kind of damage was done. We don't know where specifically they hit. Did they hit, the building? Did they hit the garden? I mean, I have no idea. Everything is being kept secret from us, okay? The U.S. officials said Friday's attacks caused no injuries and the embassy attack caused very minor damage. Reuters was first to report the number of mortars that hit the embassy compound. Explosions were heard near the embassy in the center of Baghdad at around 4 a.m. on Friday. Sirens calling on people to take cover were activated. So that's 4 a.m. local time. So here, it actually happened here last night when I was streaming. State media said the attack damaged the headquarters of an Iraqi security agency. So they also hit the Iraqi security agency. Sheikh Ali Damouche, a senior official in the Lebanese group Hezbollah, said in a Friday sermon that attacks by Iran-aligned groups across the Middle East aim to apply pressure for a halt to Israel's offensive in the Gaza Strip. He did not refer specifically to Friday's attack. U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria have been attacked at least 84 times since October 17th, the defense official said. Okay, 84 times. I think it's much higher than that. Much, much higher. So it's just a crazy, crazy situation, guys. Heather Murray, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. And Lee Billy, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. Random BS says goods delivered to warehouses, no addresses, no names, practically hidden in plain sight, usually non-perishables with lots of security. Wow. So this is what a truck driver is saying, guys. One of the subscribers to my channel, he's saying that goods are being delivered to warehouses with no addresses, no names, hidden in plain sight, non-perishables with lots of security. That's just absolutely crazy, guys. So something's definitely going on. So let's just continue with this article here from Reuters. The State Department called on Iraqi security forces to immediately investigate and arrest the perpetrators. The many Iran-aligned militias that operate freely in Iraq threaten the security and stability of Iraq, our personnel, and our partners in the region, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said in a statement. The Iraqi government has repeatedly committed to protect diplomatic missions as well as U.S. military personnel who are present in the country at Iraq's invitation. This is non-negotiable, as is our right to self-defense. Okay, so the spokesman for the State Department said our right to self-defense is non-negotiable. Okay, so this is crazy, guys. It's really spiraling out of control. We have some breaking news coming from Guyana. The Brazilian army announced that it's deploying its 18th Mechanized Cavalry Regiment in the state of Roraima. The decision means that an additional 600 soldiers will be moved to the border with Venezuela and Guyana. Okay, so Brazil is moving a mechanized regiment now. Mechanized. Okay, we're talking infantry fighting vehicles here. Okay, armored vehicles with chain guns and small, small cannons. Okay, so this is very, very serious now. All right, and I showed you guys the footage from the past 2 days of Brazil moving their troops to the border of Venezuela and Guyana. They're afraid that Venezuela is going to try to bring troops over the road that goes through northern Brazil. I'll actually show you guys that road so you can visualize where that is. Let me pull that up for you. Okay, so here we have a map. You see Brazil. Look how big Brazil is. A huge country. It's like more than half of South America. But here we have the state of Roraima. Okay, this is part of Brazil here. You can see Guyana and Venezuela. And in this section right here, there's like a savanna area. And you can see that there's not many roads that connect Guyana to Venezuela because it's all dense jungle. As you can see here, this is the dashed line is the border between Guyana and Venezuela, and there's not many roads. So if Venezuela wanted to go into Guyana, they have to go through some of these roads here in these savannas. Okay, there's some paved roads here. I think this is a paved road. Yep, here's a paved road. This is right near the border of Venezuela. Okay. So this would be one of the invasion routes for Venezuela. Venezuela has about 150,000 troops. They have a few hundred armored vehicles. They have a few hundred tanks. So they're definitely much better equipped than Guyana is. But Brazil wants to basically prevent Venezuela from using this road and going into Guyana through Brazil. Okay. So pretty crazy stuff going on over there. And the U.S. has vetoed a UN Security Council demand for a ceasefire in Gaza. The U.S. vetoed a draft UN Security Council resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza on Friday. So there were 15 Security Council members that voted, and 13 of them voted in favor of the resolution. The UK abstained, and the US voted no. So that's crazy, guys. 13 out of the 15 Security Council members wanted a ceasefire. It's pretty concerning. And the draft resolution was co-sponsored by 97 UN member states. This was the first time that the Secretary General of the UN invoked Article 99, used to alert the Security Council of a severe international security threat since he was appointed in 2017. Looks like no UN Security Council resolution, which I think is a good thing, to be honest. I think a ceasefire would just help Gaza, basically. And we have some breaking news coming in. Apparently, Israel's operation in southern Gaza is expected to last 3 to 4 weeks more. This is being reported by Axios. A senior Israeli defense official told Axios that Israel expects to end its military operation in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis in 3 to 4 weeks. The high-intensity phase of the war would likely last another 3 to 4 weeks, the official said. Okay, so this is a senior Israeli defense official. He said that the Israeli Defense Forces made significant progress in the northern part of the Gaza Strip, but that the operation in the southern city of Khan Yunis, where Israel believes Hamas leadership is located, has just started. Okay, so they just started in southern Gaza in Khan Yunis. And he's saying 3 to 4 more weeks there. That seems a little bit optimistic. I think it might last longer than that. We'll have to wait and see. But I think we're going to see a lot of attacks on U.S. bases, and we're also going to see a lot more attacks on ships. I think Yemen's going to attack more ships. We're going to have more attacks on our bases. We're going to have more terrorist attacks here. And let me see. What else did I have here? Let me just play this video for you. This is from the UN Security Council earlier today when they were voting.
En contra.
Against.
Abstenciones.
Abstentions.
El resultado de la votación.
The result of the vote is as follows: 13 votes in favor, 1 against, 1 abstention.
El proyecto de...
The draft resolution has not been approved due to the veto of a permanent member of the Security Council.
So there you have it. And Shotgun Christian 65, thanks for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and happy Friday. So we have some more breaking news coming in. Israel issues chilling warning to Europe regarding sleeper cells waiting to strike during the Christmas season. Israel has issued a chilling warning to 20 European countries over a massive network of Hamas agents operating undercover. It comes days after the EU warned of the huge risk of terrorist attacks this Christmas. The fear of terror attacks on Christmas markets across Europe intensified after the Eiffel Tower bloodbath earlier this week. On Saturday night in Paris, a 24-year-old German-Filipino man was brutally stabbed to death by an ISIS supporter, and there are fears sleeper cells of terrorists could be activated across Europe. Israel's Diaspora Affairs Ministry sent personal letters to European leaders, which included evidence of terrorist activity of Hamas in major cities across Europe. Diaspora Affairs Minister Amichai Chikli said weeks have passed since the barbarism that Hamas committed against infants, children, the elderly, and thousands of Israeli citizens. This is not the time for ambiguity. I want to clarify this unequivocally. Hamas has proven that their goal is to kill Jews everywhere. So this is very concerning, guys. Okay, Israel is warning European leaders that there could be sleeper cells in Europe waiting to strike over the holidays, and Hanukkah just begun, and maybe they're going to do something on Hanukkah. I mean, who knows? The EU already issued a warning. One of the EU commissioners issued a warning this week about the rise of terrorism in Europe. And then the FBI director said that, the chances of terrorism now are higher than ever, higher than before 9/11. So, get prepared, guys. Okay. We could have some kind of a massive attack here in the U.S. I'm very concerned about that. Okay. I'm very concerned about it. So continuing with the news, the U.S. military base at the Erbil airport in Iraq has been under constant attack tonight. So that's not a good sign. And Biden is urging Congress to pass funding for Ukraine before they break for the holiday. And China sent a surveillance balloon for the first time ever towards Taiwan yesterday. It crossed the median line between Taiwan and China sent 12 fighter jets in addition to that surveillance balloon. And the Iranian foreign minister and the Secretary General of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad had a phone conversation today. That's very concerning. Okay. This is the same guy who said earlier today that some extremely frightening days are ahead for Israel. Okay, very chilling warning there from the Iranian foreign minister. And the Saudi Arabian foreign minister said that it seems that stopping this conflict is not among the priorities of the international community. So it's getting crazy, guys. And here we have some footage from Israel. There were a bunch of rockets fired at Tel Aviv. And here you can see the interceptor missiles, the Iron Dome, intercepting those different rockets while this plane is just landing at an airport. I mean, that's insane, guys. Could you imagine going to the airport and you're waiting for a flight and you see missile defense systems in the background just shooting rockets out of the sky? I mean, that's just insane. Imagine living like that. That's crazy, guys. Okay. Just crazy. And Russia launched a massive cruise missile attack on Kyiv. And here we have footage from the train station underneath Kyiv. You can see all these people here hiding out during that cruise missile attack. And last night we had a nuclear bomber fly over upstate New York, and it flew with its transponder off over Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. And it was doing loops over the northern Adirondack Mountains of New York, which is pretty unusual. And this past week, we've seen multiple B-52s, multiple nuclear war command and control planes. I mean, our nuclear forces were on high alert this week, and they probably still are. And here we have a close-up shot of this B-52 doing loops just east of Fort Drum. Okay, it was doing loops for a little while there. So there it is doing the loops. And it looks like the Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier is somewhere in the middle of the Persian Gulf, right next to Bahrain. Here we have a helicopter that took off from the deck of the aircraft carrier. This was last night. I tracked it. I caught it. And you can see it's somewhere basically right in the middle, the dead center of the Persian Gulf right now. So that means that Iran and Iraq are within striking distance. If they want to retaliate against those Iranian militias, they can easily do that. Samuel DeMarco, thank you for the donation. I hope we, the U.S., respond soon and strong. Appeasement only makes the aggressor more aggressive. I am afraid any day now we might see fatalities from these attacks. Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. And the question is, are we even going to know about those fatalities, or are they going to try to keep it secret from us? That's what I'm concerned about. Minraja, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So what I'm actually going to do now, I'm going to take a break for a second. I'm going to start a poll. I want to know what time you guys want me to do this stream. What time do you prefer? Hold on 1 minute here. Okay, I started a poll. I just want to know what time you guys prefer these streams, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., or some other time. So just go ahead and vote. I'll leave that poll up, no rush. I'll leave it up through the stream. So let's see, what else do I have for you guys? Oh, here we have the British Eurofighter Typhoon that I was tracking earlier today. I talked about it in my update from earlier this evening. And this thing flew to Iraq. It turned its transponder off when it got close to Iraq, and it looks like it came back and turned its transponder back on, and it flew around Israel and went back to Cyprus. Took off from Cyprus, went down to the Sinai Peninsula through Jordan and then towards Iraq, and then it turned around and came back. Very interesting. So, I don't know if there's a full-blown war going on in Iraq and we just don't know about it. I mean, I don't know if they're doing like bombing missions on these Iranian militias or if they're practicing. I don't know what, but I thought that was pretty crazy to see. Let's see here. The governor of California is going to be canceling the Christmas lighting ceremony And the reason why is out of fear of terrorism. Gavin Newsom canceled the Christmas lighting ceremony, opting for a smaller pre-taped remote celebration in its place. A spokesperson for the governor said the last-minute cancellation was over safety concerns ahead of multiple planned protests. As we continue to see protests across the country impacting the safety of events of all scales and for the safety and security of all participating members and guests, including children and families, the ceremony this year will be virtual. The program is unchanged, and viewers can tune in Wednesday evening to watch this year's festivities, a Newsom spokesperson said Tuesday afternoon. All right, so they canceled the Christmas ceremony out of fear of terrorism in California, okay? And the governor of New York has put the New York State Police and the New York National Guard on high alert to patrol synagogues and yeshivas. I'm not sure what a yeshiva is actually, but also just any kind of Jewish like schools and stuff and religious places. They are going to be patrolling with the New York National Guard. So that's pretty serious. And if you guys haven't been following the situation between Venezuela and Guyana, Venezuela has given the oil companies off the coast of Guyana up to 90 days to basically leave, okay? So does that mean that Venezuela is going to attack ExxonMobil? Because ExxonMobil has huge drilling platforms off the coast of Guyana, okay? Guyana sold concessions to ExxonMobil to drill for oil off their shoreline, and so that could be the catalyst that brings the U.S. into the war. The U.S. flew over Guyana the other day. They did some kind of exercise. I'm not sure exactly what kind of exercise, but they said they were going to do a flyover. So East Tennessee Preparedness, thanks for becoming a member. I appreciate that. And Alan Kunesh, thanks for becoming a member. Appreciate the support. Alan Ross says this seems just like when Iraq invaded Kuwait. Interesting. Yeah, it was about the oil. 90 days is not a lot of time. Alan Ross says in 90 days, gas prices are going to go up. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a very good point. What's going on, Earth Angel Anna? This is scary and sad. When 9/11 happened, I didn't see it coming, but it's even more frustrating to know it's coming, but not know where. Yeah, we know that it's coming and our leaders are doing nothing about it. That makes it even more frustrating, It's like they probably know it's coming and they're not doing anything about it. So that makes it even more frustrating. Joan Julia says the green zone is supposed to be safe for troops and anyone there in Iraq. We must protect our embassy, not ignore all this. Yeah, I totally agree. That's a great point about the green zone. Looks like so far in the poll, most of you guys want the live streams to start at 8 p.m. That's kind of what I was leaning to anyway. 8 p.m. is what I was leaning to. I just did 9 p.m. tonight because I figured it's a Friday. Start a little later on Friday, maybe. Mary Beth says, I'm tired. I have to wake up at 4 a.m. Central Time, so I'm not going to last long. Oh, wow. Wow, that's early. I hope you get some sleep. Joker says Sheets does deals sometimes. Keep an eye out for that. Yeah, Sheets does do some deals. They were just doing some deals over here where all the octane levels were the same price. So I filled up on 89 for a while. Gas is $5 in Southern California. Wow, that's insane. Kimberly Burrows says, thanks for all your hard work and information from West Virginia. Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate it. Mary Beth says, you wake up every day at 4 a.m. except Sundays. So I'm going to continue with some of the news here. Apparently, there was an attack on a Pakistani highway to China. Apparently, that looks like the Taliban attacked some vehicles on a highway going to China from Pakistan. And this highway is part of the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. 10 people were killed, including 2 of them Pakistani army soldiers, and more than 20 wounded. Over the weekend, a passenger bus traveling on the Karakoram highway was hit by gunfire near the town of Chilas, less than 400 kilometers from the border. Wow. The attack of unclear provenance took place against a backdrop of rising militant activity in the country involving myriad groups ranging from the Pakistani Taliban to separatists in the Balochistan province. Wow. So we got the Taliban very active in Pakistan again. We got to keep an eye on that. You know, the Taliban is back in control of Afghanistan now. They have all our equipment that we left behind. So that's definitely not good. Russian hackers targeted NATO forces and diplomats to aid the Ukraine war effort. Hackers linked with Russian military and spy agencies have been on a spree in recent months to gather up intelligence that could help the Kremlin's war effort in Ukraine by trying to infiltrate NATO, US, and European government networks. Cybersecurity experts who have responded to the hacks told CNN one Russian hacking group targeted the Turkish unit of NATO's Rapid Deployable Corps, forces the alliance keeps on standby for warfighting, according to U.S. cybersecurity firm Palo Alto Networks, which shared its findings exclusively with CNN. Another Russian group has targeted nearly 24 embassies in Kyiv over the last 9 months, including the U.S. Embassy. Palo Alto Networks and other security firms have said. It was unclear if the hackers successfully breached the NATO forces. The alliance did not respond to multiple requests for comment, but the unit would likely have near continual communications with NATO headquarters, making it a coveted target for Russian spies, says Michael Sikorsky, the chief technology officer of Unit 42, Palo Alto Networks Threat Intelligence Division. The hacking group, which U.S. officials say operates on behalf of Russia's GRU military intelligence agency, has targeted governments and critical infrastructure for secrets in at least 10 NATO countries in the last several months, according to Palo Alto Networks. So this is crazy, guys. They've been hacking a bunch of embassies in Kyiv this year. Okay, 24 embassies targeted by Russian hackers, and they also They tried to hack into some of the NATO forces, the Rapid Deployable Corps. Okay, so this is very concerning. Very concerning information. And Harvard president apologizes over answers in anti-Semitism hearing. Harvard president Claudine Gay apologized for failing to more strongly denounce threats of anti-Semitic violence during congressional testimony that has received widespread backlash. So it looks like she apologized here. So I guess they have no choice, right? Because then they look bad. So now they realize they look bad, and now they're all apologizing. All those Ivy League schools are apologizing now. The president of UPenn issued an apology. Now the Harvard president. So the EU has reached a landmark deal on the world's first comprehensive AI regulation. It's pretty interesting. The European Union policymakers agreed Friday on a comprehensive regulation for artificial intelligence, the AI Act. This makes the EU the first governing body to pass AI legislation. European policymakers focused on AI's riskiest uses by companies and governments, including those for law enforcement and the operation of crucial services like water and energy, according to the New York Times. Makers of large AI systems like OpenAI and others will face transparency requirements, and systems creating manipulated media would have to make this clear to users. Facial recognition by law enforcement will be highly restricted, and companies violating rules could face up to 7% of global sales in fines. The new law still needs to be approved by the European Parliament, though that will be a formality. Lawmakers still need to work out some of the details of the new law. The rules also won't take effect until 2025 at the earliest, leaving room for a lot of technological evolution until then. Okay, so this is crazy. This whole thing with AI it's really like coming out of a Hollywood movie. It reminds me of the Terminator movies. The U.S. military is going to be uploading AI into the B-21 Raider, which is the replacement for the B-2 stealth bomber. They said that they're going to be uploading AI into it. So we're going to have stealth bombers, nuclear bombers that have AI on them. I mean, just think about that. Does that sound like a good idea? I don't know. I don't think it is. I think they should just be controlled by man and not machine. But that's exactly what happened in Terminator, guys. In Terminator, they had Skynet, and they uploaded Skynet into our nuclear arsenal because they thought that by having AI control our nuclear arsenal, it would help us respond faster to threats. And what ended up happening was the AI became self-aware and realized that, human beings are the threat, and launched nukes at Russia to cause a nuclear war, because then Russia thought that we launched nukes at them, not the AI. So they launched nukes back at us, and it caused a global nuclear war. And then the machines took over. That could be where we're going now. I mean, who knows, guys? Wolf in the Wilderness says insincere apologies from Ivy League schools. Yeah, I agree. They're definitely not sincere. They're just doing it because they need those donors, and they need, the parents sending their kids there. I mean, let's face it, guys. These Ivy League schools are making so much money. It's ridiculous. I mean, the amount of money they make is insane. I mean, just think about the tuition for one student at Harvard. It's like, I don't know, what is it, more than $50,000 a year or a semester? I don't even know what it's up to now. So, I mean, they have thousands and thousands of students. I mean, just do the math. They're making millions and millions of dollars they're probably making millions of dollars a week from all the tuition. Just in the tuition alone, they're probably making millions every week. It's the money they make is just staggering. But they don't care about the money. They want to brainwash, and that's what they're after. That's, to them, that's more important, is having the power to influence the world. So it looks like most people want the streams to start at 8 p.m. We got 53% at 8 p.m., 29% at 9 p.m., 10% at 10 p.m. What about if I went earlier, like 7 p.m.? I think that might be too early, though. So I'll just do 8 p.m. then. Iconic Chatter, thank you so much for the donation. And Joe Courtney is thank you so much for the donation. Do I have a radio station? If not, you need one. When you say a radio station, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like like a ham radio or something? Is that what you're talking about? Zoodmaster says start whenever you want. You are the host. Sounds good. Drops Family Garden says $78,000 a year average cost for Harvard. Wow. John Hoover, what's going on, John Hoover? So you figure 78,000 a year times 4, you're looking at least $250,000 per student to finish 4 years. And how many students do you think they have? Thousands and thousands, So they make a lot of money. And what's sad is, parents pay that much money and they're not even guaranteed a job after that, They go to Harvard and they're not even, there's no job waiting for them after that. They still have to find a job after that, after all that money and debt and everything. The Zug, thank you for the donation. Have to bail. Thanks, Greg and mods. Will catch the replay. Thank you, Zug. I appreciate the donation. Smokin' Swamp says, I will be releasing my Skunk Ape video on Monday. I've been filming other stuff. Sounds good, man. I'm going to share that out when you release it. Let me know when you release it. I'm going to watch that and share it out. That's really cool. I got to do some Bigfoot stuff myself. I'm going to do some Bigfoot expeditions soon over here. So good luck on that release, and let me know when you release it. Thank you, K. Paul. You're doing an awesome job moderating tonight, sharing my playlists and stuff. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to bring back my fictional nuclear war survival series. It's called Dark Winter. It's going to be coming back very soon. I have to film some more episodes on that. But look at this, guys. We have this U.S. reconnaissance plane flying towards the Persian Gulf. This is pretty interesting. Flying from Mildenhall. Let's see, where's that nuclear warplane going? It's now flying towards, looks like Northern California. Maybe it's going to land at Travis Air Force Base, possibly. I'm really concerned about the situation with Guyana and Venezuela, though. I'm really concerned about that. It's going to be a very crazy the next few months. Michael Murphy says, "Be careful. Bigfoot is a demon that can move between dimensions." Interesting. Yeah, I've heard that before. I should make my series dramatic like Mountain Monsters. I've never seen Mountain Monsters. Thank you, moderators. You guys are awesome. Thank you for sharing all those links. I appreciate that. So, last night there was a man who crashed his pickup truck into a Christmas parade. They're now saying that he was a drunk driver. 3 people got injured and they went to the hospital. Doesn't appear to be terrorism. One of the victims suffered major injuries and 2 others sustained moderate injuries. They were all listed in stable condition. So it looks like a drunk driver was involved in this situation. And President of Venezuela today told his government to build 140 houses in the part of Guyana that they annexed and that they want to occupy, that Venezuela wants to occupy. So that's pretty concerning there. So that's pretty much all the latest breaking news that I have for you guys. I'm going to now turn my attention to the chat and see what you guys have to say, and talk about whatever. And I'll be back tomorrow with more breaking news updates throughout the day, and probably another stream tomorrow night as well. What do you guys think about these streams? Do you like them? I was thinking of doing them like a few nights a week. I was thinking like Thursday night through Sunday night, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. What do you guys think about that? And then obviously video updates. If there's anything very, very serious, I'll let you know through video, or also live streams. I'll let you guys know. Obviously, love the live streams. Okay. Yeah, so I'll keep doing that. I'll keep doing the streams. Do I think this will turn into a SHTF scenario? Yeah, most definitely it will. I have no doubt. I have no doubt that things are going to get crazy very, very soon. Okay, we're going to see more terror. We're going to see terrorist attacks here in the U.S. I have no doubt about that. It's just a matter of when, and I think it's going to happen soon. We're going to have Venezuela invade Guyana soon. We're going to have the situation in Ukraine get worse and worse, especially if they don't pass any funding. If they don't give Ukraine more weapons, then that's going to be like a big green light for Russia. So they're going to capitalize on that. We could see something happen in the Baltics. Putin already threatened Latvia, because Latvia has been passing a lot of laws that he says are anti-Russian. A lot of it has to do with like the language and stuff. And because like 20 or 30% of Latvia is Russian. And so the Latvian government like passed some laws related to like the official language in certain areas. And Putin said that there would be repercussions for that. And Putin is going to be giving his yearly New Year's address. I'm going to try to cover that live. I think that's next week on the 14th. So I'll go live for that. I think that's next Thursday. So I'll cover that live for you guys. Putin's yearly address. So stay tuned for that. Mud and Munitions, what's going on? Any thoughts on some truck camping on the 4x4 playlist? Think would be cool. I'm not sure what you mean. Any thoughts on some truck camping? What do you mean by that, Mud and Munitions? TW Perry says, yes, streams are great. I have a bunch of different videos I'm going to be doing also. I'm going to be doing a whole series on U.S. military bases and secret facilities around the world. I'm going to do like in-depth videos on each one. I already have a list of like a few dozen. I'm going to do like an entire series just on all those government facilities and bases and stuff. I'm going to go do like a deep dive on each one. So that'll be a project. Michael Gale says, I'm doing training in military hand-to-hand combat fighting. That's awesome. That's definitely a very good thing. Watching Pilgrim says, can you talk about what you think the powers that be are going to do next? The election fiasco that will come this next cycle. Steal it again. I bet there's protests after another steal. It's civil war time. Yeah, it's a great question. It's like the $1 million question. It's hard to say what they're going to do next. But there's so many different things that could happen now. I mean, just look around the world, so it's really hard to predict. But I will say that, like I said, we have a few weeks or months before things really start to get crazy, a lot more crazy around the world. I thought it was going to happen sooner, but I still think that it's going to happen. We're going to see massive escalation from in the Middle East. We're going to see it in other parts of the world. Lavon W says, I listen to you on the way to work, when I get off work, and when I'm in bed. Keep up the posts. Thank you, Lavon. I appreciate that. Thank you. Vanessa Dubois says, live streams are great. Jackie M says, there are so many deteriorating situations. One event will cause a domino effect. Yeah, another thing, too, we have to keep an eye on is North Korea and South Korea. North Korea has been putting their troops to the border of the DMZ, and South Korea has been doing the same thing. So we have to keep an eye on that. North Korea, they started opening up some of the doors to their artillery bunkers, and those artillery bunkers are right next to South Korea. So, things could escalate on the Korean Peninsula. John Hoover says, Greg, I just received my international journalist credentials through the German Daily News. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Wow. So does that mean that you're gonna go to Ukraine and cover the war from the front lines as a press guy? That would be pretty cool. Maybe you could be a contributor for the NYPrepper channel. You could be a field correspondent in Ukraine if you're interested. I guess you kind of were already before. That's exciting, man. I'm happy for you. That's great. Are you going back to Ukraine soon? Proxy war between the Saudis and Iran is going to widen. Yeah, I think so. Drops Family Garden. I think so too. Jackie M says, I swear, Greg, we think the exact same. I always say North Korea can't be forgotten. Yeah, I think what's going to happen is it's just going to be like one after another. So it's going to be like, we're going to start with the situation in the Middle East right now is hot. And then we're going to see Venezuela and Guyana pick up. And then we're going to see Korea and South Korea pick up. It's all planned out. It's all done. It's all coordinated at the, for all these different wars. It's all coordinated. That's why Putin went to Saudi Arabia and the UAE. That's why the Iranian president went to Moscow yesterday. That's why Putin went to China. And you know what's even weirder? The Hamas attack on Israel happened on Putin's birthday, on October 7th, on Putin's birthday. That's when Hamas launched that attack against Israel. Okay, so that's pretty weird timing there. It's almost like a Christmas gift, or not a birthday gift for Putin. I don't know. It's very weird. GTO Handler says love and support for Israel. I want to just read to you guys something about the situation with Guyana, Wikipedia already has an entry about the situation in Guyana. They already have an entry here. Look at this. 2023 Guyana Essequibo crisis. They already have an entry on Wikipedia, so that's definitely not a good sign. The long-standing territorial dispute over the Essequibo region escalated into a crisis in 2023. So if Wikipedia already has an article on it, that means something's about to go down. But there's some good information here. Venezuela became more aggressive towards Guyana during the administration of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The Venezuelan Navy detained an oil exploration vessel conducting seafloor surveys on behalf of the government of Guyana on October 10th, with the ship and its crew being escorted to the Venezuelan Margarita Island to be prosecuted. The Guyanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the vessel was in Guyanese water, but the Venezuelan counterpart sent a diplomatic note to Guyana stating that the ship was conducting oil research in Venezuelan waters with no authorization from the country and demanded an explanation. Maduro visited Guyana and discussed the dispute. In Georgetown, Maduro affirmed that the Geneva Agreement was signed, blah, blah, blah. So this is crazy. This happened in October. We didn't really hear much about this because everything was happening with Israel. I didn't hear about it. But on October 10th, the Venezuelan Navy detained a Guyanese oil exploration vessel that was conducting seafloor surveys. Okay, so the Guyanese government, they wanted to basically see where the oil was. They were using a boat to check out, do whatever. And the Venezuelan Navy captured them and prosecuted the crew. That's insane, guys. I mean, that's just clear as day that the Venezuelan government is so scared that Guyana is going to become wealthy and, sell their oil deposits to foreign companies and make a ton of money and become a major oil power in the world. They're afraid of that. They don't want Guyana to become an oil power because right now Venezuela is an oil power. So they don't want any competition, especially from their neighbor. So that's insane. Guyana handed new oil concessions to ExxonMobil in 2014, whose Venezuelan assets Chavez had nationalized 7 years prior. In 2015, Venezuela accused ExxonMobil of breaching international law while drilling for oil in Guyana, and a minor crisis broke out wherein Guyanese authorities seized a Venezuelan vessel in Guyana's territorial waters, with both parts demanding an explanation for the other. They later signed an agreement to meet to try to improve delimitation of each other's territorial waters. Maduro announced in 2015 that he would take the dispute to the International Court of Justice, and in 2018, Guyana initiated an arbitration. Wow, this is crazy, guys. So it looks like they've been battling over those oil concessions for some time, and now finally it's all reached its final stage. But they have a lot of information on Wikipedia. This is insane. Here's a map that this is the map that the president of Venezuela recently released. And it shows Venezuela with the western part of Guyana included in it. I mean, just how crazy is that? It's insane. Venezuela sells its oil to India and other BRICS nations. Yes, they do. Absolutely. That's right. They do. So let's just I'm going to continue reading about this from Wikipedia. This is pretty interesting. Militarization of the Brazilian border. Let's see. Let's start up here. reported military buildup. In October 2023, it was reported that the Venezuelan military was building a runway near the border with Guyana's Essequibo to develop the region. Guyana's President Irfan Ali responded by saying the country will not give up an inch of the region. Guyana asked for Venezuela to explain their troop buildup on the border, and the Venezuelan ambassador, Carlos Silva, said that the troops were mobilized to curb illegal mining in the region. Obviously a lie. In the context of increasing tensions between the two countries, Guyana's main opposition party called on November the 4th for a ban on Venezuelans with Guyanese citizenship from voting in elections, as well as not granting citizenship to more people from the neighboring countries. So this has been in the making for some time, this war between Venezuela and Guyana, and we're going to see it. It's going to start very soon. In October, they were already building up their forces along the border, so it's just a matter of time. Let's see here. At the end of November 2023, the president of Guyana, Irfan Ali, met with soldiers who guard the border between the countries. In a video released by the government, Ali raised the Guyanese flag at an event on the Pacarampa mountain in Guyana Essequibo near Venezuela's Bolivar state, where he also took an oath of national loyalty. After these acts, the Ministry of Defense of Venezuela, or the Minister of Defense of Venezuela, declared that the Venezuelan armed forces will be permanently vigilant of any actions that threatens the territorial integrity, asking the population to vote in the referendum. Blah, blah, blah. On November 23rd, senior military officers from the Guyana Defense Force and the Brazilian Armed Forces met for a military exchange. Brazil has been a strong supporter of Guyana in the border dispute. Brazil is currently trying to establish mediation between both countries to avoid an armed conflict. 2 teams from the United States Department of Defense were scheduled to visit Guyana in late November. Guyana proposed establishing foreign military bases in its country. The Brazilian army mobilized towards the border of both countries, anticipating a possible Venezuelan invasion. Reports from Brazilian intelligence in early December suggested an imminent military move by the Venezuelan army against Guyana in the coming days, raising concerns about regional stability. So, I forgot to mention that, again, Brazilian intelligence said not too long ago that Venezuela is preparing to invade basically any day now. So a lot of stuff going on here. It's just crazy. On December the 5th, the Brazilian army mobilized 20 Iveco LMV vehicles to join the newly activated 18th Mechanized Cavalry Regiment based in Boa Vista, being expected to arrive in early January. The regiment, originally planned to be activated in 2026, was created from the pre-existing 12th Mechanized Cavalry Squadron on November 29. An additional 600 soldiers will be added to the newly created 18th Cavalry Regiment. An armored task force composed of 28 armored vehicles was assembled. Brazilian Defense Minister Jose Muccio said the presidency had ordered him to bulletproof the border. The Brazilian military was also concerned that the situation would lead to the creation of additional American military bases in the region. Sources within the military also told reporters that they were detecting no suspicious movement along the Brazilian border with the precaution of deterrence working there, but they believed Venezuela was more likely to invade from the sea. That's interesting. So Brazil thinks that Venezuela is more likely to invade from the sea. That's interesting. But they've been building roads, so that they may try to build roads there. But, the entire western part of Guyana is all jungle anyway, so, there's not much there to occupy except trees. Brazil is expected to triple its military presence in the border with much materiel being moved thousands of kilometers from its south and central west regions. So Brazil is going to triple its military presence on the border with Venezuela. That is huge, guys. Okay, triple. Insane. On December the 4th, the Armed Forces of Venezuela Strategic Commander Domingo Larez made several posts on social media of the Venezuelan military working on repairing or building new roads, bridges, airstrips, and other infrastructure in the border with Essequibo, which he described as our Guyanese routes. On December 5th, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced that he would soon permit the exploitation of resources such as gas, oil, and mineral deposits within Guyana. He also announced local Essequibo subsidiaries of the Venezuelan state-owned companies. On the same day, Brazilian president stated he'd make a presidential visit to Guyana next year, which analysts interpreted as signaling that Brazil would not tolerate Venezuelan military action. On December the 6th, the president of Brazil announced a summit with special envoy and foreign minister. The Brazilian army reported to CNN Brazil that it had detected an increased Venezuelan military presence along the border with Guyana, though it assessed that the buildup by itself still wasn't an indication of an imminent invasion. The Guyanese president told Brazilian media that the president of Brazil assured him Brazil would support Guyana and thanked the Brazilian president for Brazil's mature position while characterizing Venezuela as reckless and unpredictable. He claimed they were working with U.S. Southern Command and expected strong statements to be made within the next 24 hours. The United States announced military exercises with Guyanese forces. So that's kind of where we're at. We have that missing helicopter. So it's escalating there, and that's right in our backyard. So Brazil has one of the largest militaries in the world. That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. It makes sense, actually. Minraja says Brazil chose a side. Venezuela is no longer allies with Brazil, which is interesting because Brazil is a BRICS country, so you would think that they would still be allies. Bob says all the wars will escalate at the same time. I totally agree. I think they're all going to escalate at the same time. Levon says we're clearly trying to bait the Iranians into a broader conflict with the position of our aircraft carriers. What do you believe the red line is from either side, causing an all-out war? I think what we're going to see is more attacks on U.S. bases and more attacks on U.S. ships and commercial ships, and I think that's going to be the reason for us to get involved. You know, they're going to either hit one of our ships or they're going to hit some international ship, you know, and then that's going to be a justification because see, right now the U.S. always wants broad international support anytime they do military action, just like in Iraq. You know, they went and they tried to get an international coalition against Al-Qaeda. So that's what they would try to do is they would want to get an international coalition going and to kind of look justified on the world stage. So they would need some kind of an attack on you know, our warships or also maybe on some other commercial ship that's not Israeli. And then they would have a justification to strike Yemen, strike the militias, the Iranian militias, and then possibly even strike Iran. But, you know, I think that they're going after Iran too. They want to go after Iran. Jacqueline James, thank you for the donation. Please pray for Jackie M. surgery that she had. Looks like Jackie M. in the chat had surgery, so keep her in your prayers, guys. Sorry to hear about your health conditions. I hope you get better soon. Anne says, OMG, Brazil wants to visit Guyana next year. Why is everybody such a blank? Yeah, it's really crazy how they're just kind of so lackadaisical about it, you know? John Hoover says Guyana has 13.6 billion barrels of oil and 32 trillion cubic feet of gas, and that's coming from the USGS. Wow, and how does that compare to other countries? How does that compare? John Hoover says, if you think you should go to the ER, you should be on the way. Trust your medic. John Hoover is a medic himself, so he knows what he's talking about. Venezuela was once an ally of the U.S. They still fly F-16s. Interesting. Levon says, I'm a veteran. It's sad that we are just pawns in their chess game. Yeah, we definitely are just pawns in the chess game. Independent A says, thanks, Greg, for covering Guyana in your stream. Yeah, no problem. You know, I had a friend of mine is from Guyana, a guy I used to work with. And that's why it's kind of personal for me, because I was good friends with him. He was a coworker of mine. And he was the nicest guy in the world, you know. So I always kind of think of him, and I figure a lot of people from Guyana are probably similar to him. You know, just very friendly and you know, warm. And it would just be sad to see you know, another war break out and, you know, innocent people die for no reason, for oil, basically. You know, that's what it's all about. It's because of the oil. You know, Venezuela's threatened. They're afraid that Guyana is going to become an oil power, and they're afraid that, you know, Western companies are going to be drilling for oil next to Venezuela. So it's just insane. You know, it's crazy how these dictators think that they could just use military force to do anything, basically. It's crazy. K. Paul, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, wars are usually about oil or land or resources. Yeah, that's very true. Very true. It's usually about resources or land or, yeah. John Hoover says it puts them in the number 3 spot when that field reaches potential. Oh, wow. That's insane. Wow. So Guyana would be producing the 3rd highest. They would be a major world oil power. That's insane. Let me see here. See if we can get like a list here. What kind of oil? So basically, ExxonMobil is the big person here. Look at this article from August. Exxon proposes 6th oil project in Guyana for $12.9 billion. So it looks like Exxon and Hess. Guyana has emerged as the world's fastest growing new oil province in a decade, with discoveries of more than 11 billion barrels of oil and gas. Wow. Exxon and partners Hess Corp and CNOOC now produce 400,000 barrels, BPD, I'm not sure what that is, from 2 vessels, and have said they could develop up to 10 offshore projects. Their production has brought $2.8 billion in revenue to Guyana and led to the work for some 4,400 Guyanese. So look at all the money that Guyana's getting from that. $2.8 billion in revenue from those oil concessions, and then thousands of jobs. So obviously Venezuela doesn't want that. They want to keep Guyana weak and poor. They don't want Guyana to become a strong country with a big military and a big economy, and that's why this is all happening. It's not because of America. Oh, America, it's all America's fault because we have oil fields there and it's all our fault. No, it's not that. Okay, it's these freaking communists, with a little military that think they can do whatever they want. That's what it's about. I'm sick of people always blaming America, and it's all America's fault. It's all our fault all the time. And most of the people that say it's America's fault actually live in America, which is the saddest thing about it. It's like they hate their own country. I don't get it. Corwin Moore says, keep up the good work. Let me see. I'm going to try to get a list here of, let me see something here. Just looking something up here. This is interesting. It looks like Venezuela has more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia. I don't know how accurate this is. I guess maybe because it hasn't been exploited yet. Interesting. Let me see. Yeah, looks like Venezuela's number one in terms of their oil reserves. This is coming from Wikipedia here. Wikipedia again. They have Venezuela as number one for their proven oil reserves. Venezuela's number one, Saudi Arabia number two, Iran number three, Canada number four, Iraq number five, Kuwait number six, UAE number seven, Russia number eight, Libya number nine. The U.S. is number 10. That's pretty cool. I didn't know we were that high up there. But they have Guyana really low down here, but I suspect Guyana might be number one if that's the case. If that's true about the 11 billion barrels, they might even become number one potentially. Who knows? Mama Bear says you'd be surprised at the Republicans and Democrats who get along on those oil company boards. Yeah, of course. What's going on, Lynn Dunn? How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Just want to share something with you guys here. This is the report from earlier of one of the vessels being ordered to turn around in the southern Red Sea. Or this was actually yesterday. This was the UK Oh no, I'm sorry. It was today. It was issued today, but the incident happened yesterday at 22:45 UTC time. The UK MTO has received reports of an entity declaring itself to be the Yemeni authorities ordered a vessel to alter course in the southern Red Sea. Vessels in the vicinity are advised to exercise caution and report any suspicious activity to the UK MTO. So, Yemeni authorities telling a vessel to alter course in the southern Red Sea. That's insane, guys. It's only going to get worse and worse. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse, guys. Let's check on the Iceland volcano. They said there was supposed to be an imminent eruption, and it hasn't erupted yet. So, let's see. Let's see the latest thing about the volcano there. Looks like the eruption could still happen. It says magma may start flowing into the dike underneath the town of Grindavik again days or months from now. The Icelandic town remains evacuated, and experts say it is not clear when it will be safe for its residents to return to their homes. While an eruption near the town located on the Reykjanes Peninsula is now considered less likely in the short term, a new phase of seismic activity may be beginning. In late October, an earthquake swarm and uplift began on the Reykjanes Peninsula near the town of Grindavik, indicating magma collecting underground. The magma intrusion grew and filled a dike stretching beneath the town, leading authorities to issue an evacuation order on November 10th due to the risk of eruption. Magma inflow to the dike has likely stopped, according to a notice from the Met Office, and the chances of an eruption happening along the dike at this time have decreased. However, magma continues to accumulate just north of Grindavik beneath Svartsengi, where a geothermal power plant and the Blue Lagoon are located. The ongoing activity at Svartsengi, which began in October, is not yet over, and a new chapter may have begun with an increased chance of a new magma propagation and subsequently increased likelihood of an eruption, the Met Office notice states. The dike beneath Grindavik was fed by magma accumulating beneath Svartsengi. It is likely that this this sequence of events will repeat, the notice continues. A new magma propagation would provide a warning in the form of earthquakes and ground deformation, which would be detected by equipment several hours before the magma propagation is likely to pose a threat. According to the Met Office, this pattern of magma accumulating beneath Svartsengi and flowing into the dike that stretches below Grindavik is likely to happen again, even repeatedly. However, it is impossible to estimate whether that will be in the next few days or possibly after several months. All right, so for now, things have quieted down on Iceland, but they're saying that the magma is building up just to the north of Grindavik, which is that town that they evacuated. It's building up just to the north. And it could flow back down, and there could still be an eruption. We just don't know when. There was a solar flare reported today. There was a M5 solar flare, which caused a shortwave radio blackout over the southern Pacific Ocean. It's pretty interesting. And so they're saying that this M5 solar flare that happened today could cause a coronal mass ejection, or there could be a coronal mass ejection coming soon. Here we have the latest sunspot. This is a solar disk. You can see all these little sunspots everywhere. Nothing too massive right now. They're all quite small. We're heading towards a solar minimum right now, so the sun has already reached its peak for this solar cycle. A lot of people are saying that the solar cycle is still going to max out, but no, it already maxed out. The max was already earlier this year. You can tell because the sunspots are smaller and smaller, and look how tiny those spots are. So we're already going down to a solar minimum. So it looks like most of you guys like the streams to be at 8 p.m. That's good to know. It's very good to know. Someone said Earth Angel Anna is showing her age. That's funny. Ross Niderman says no one disrespects preppers. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate it. Hope your finals are going well. K. Paul says, after the stream, check out NYPrepper's How to Survive Nuclear War playlist. Yeah, check it out. If you go into my playlist, you'll see How to Survive Nuclear War. I'll actually pin it at the top if you want to learn about nuclear war survival. A lot of people ask me about that. I'm actually going to, if I have time, I'm going to try to write a book on nuclear war survival. Is that something you guys think you'd be interested in? If I wrote like a book on nuclear war survival that's kind of like practical and not too complicated, because I think some of these books get too complicated and stuff. And I think I can probably write a book that's like easy to understand for the average person and for preppers, what they need to know to survive nuclear war. What do you guys think? Like kind of more like a field guide, a short book, maybe 100 pages, something like that, with a lot of illustrations and maps and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys would be interested in that, but that's what I was thinking of doing. Do I really want to survive nuclear war? 556 Savage says. Yeah, I would rather survive nuclear war than get radiation poisoning and suffer. You don't want to get radiation poisoning. And for most people, it's not going to be a quick death. People say, oh, when nuclear war breaks out, I'm just going to sit on my couch and let that bomb hit me. Well, unless you live right next to a nuclear target, a nuclear war target, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is likely you're going to get a high dose of radiation, which means a very slow and painful death over a period of months, where your skin is literally going to rot and fall off your body. I don't want to live through that. So I'll try to survive as much as I can. So, but I get that mentality. A lot of people have that mentality. I think a lot of it is not based on any facts. It's just, movies and TV shows. They, like Mad Max, or, video games like, Metro or Fallout, where it's this post-apocalyptic world and everything is irradiated and it's just a wasteland, and it's not necessarily going to happen like that. I mean, just look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those cities are rebuilt and people live there. It's not like a nuclear power plant melting down. Depending on where the bombs go off, if they go off over major cities, then yeah, that would be really catastrophic if they target cities. But cities may not be targeted necessarily, because each side knows that if they target the other side's cities, then their cities will get targeted. So Russia is not going to launch nukes at our cities because they know we're going to launch nukes at their cities. So it's kind of the mutual assured destruction, thing. So if anything, there would be attack on military bases, and it would go military for military. They'd go after our bases, we'd go after their bases, and maybe cities would be spared. It's hard to say, though. You really don't know. It's just a guess. Maybe that's just a little bit of optimism on my part. JD Israel says, no disrespect, but the Bible says the world will be destroyed by fire. There is no nuclear preparedness possible. Prep all you want, it won't matter. That's your interpretation of the Bible. I mean, nobody knows. Only Jesus Christ himself knows what's going to happen. Everybody you can read the Bible, just like I can read the Bible, and it may mean something different for you. Okay. But we really don't know what the future holds for us. Okay. Only God knows. So, as far as I know, the Bible doesn't say that you can't prepare. Okay. The Bible says you shouldn't store up treasures on earth, meaning you shouldn't build up, massive quantities of gold and hoard it. Not, which also a lot of people take the wrong way. It doesn't mean that you can't have money and have savings and that you should live poor. It just means that you shouldn't be greedy and only think about the world and worldly possessions. You should store your treasures in heaven and not store your treasures on earth. But preparing, I don't know how you draw that conclusion. Again, that's your opinion and your interpretation, but really nobody knows. I mean, that's your opinion, your interpretation is different than mine. But at the end of the day, we don't know. Okay. Maybe there will be a nuclear war, and you're going to have to survive it. You're going to have to endure and survive. I mean, we don't know when God is going to come back. We just have no idea. So we have to do the best we can. We have to prepare physically and spiritually, wait for Jesus's return and prepare for it. But we also physically have to be prepared. So unless you're God, only God himself knows what's going to happen. Okay. I don't care how many years you studied the Bible. I don't care, what your credentials are. Nobody knows the future except God himself. Okay. That's where I stand with that. Ross Niderman says Lorna is very tough. Yeah, she is very tough. That's true. She actually said yesterday that she was going to ban me. Could you guys believe that? She wanted to ban me. It's pretty funny. Kathy Aldridge says, Greg, I live about 40 miles from an Air Force base with flat terrain in this area. What might we expect if that Air Force base receives a direct hit? If you're 40 miles away, you should be in good condition. You won't have to really worry about the blast wave. You won't really have to worry about the thermal effects. Most likely you're going to have to worry about fallout, which probably will hit you within a few hours, 2 to 3 hours probably. So you're pretty far out enough where you don't have to worry about blast or heat. But closer in from your area, there could be some firestorms. You could have some moderate blast damage as you get closer to that Air Force base. But in your area, you should be you're in a good position. I don't know what kind of Air Force base you live in, so it would also depend, or live near. It would depend on how many nuclear warheads are detonated. If it's just one or two, you're in good shape, But if you're, let's say, near a silo field, like Minot Air Force Base or Malmstrom or Warren, where you have 150 silos spread out across, a large area. Each one of those silos is likely going to get hit with at least one warhead, most likely two, to ensure destruction. So if, let's say, you live in a missile field and you have silos all around you scattered throughout the countryside, you have to assume at least one, most likely two warheads per silo. And I actually, on my website, if you're interested, this is why I posted this on my website. Go to my website. I have a lot of information on nuclear war. So use it. It's free. So you go to my website, NYPrepper.com, click on prepping references. On the top here, click prepping references, and got a bunch of stuff here. Nuclear war targets in Europe. For my viewers in Europe, you should check this out. Nuclear war targets in Canada. And then here I have a map of U.S. nuclear missile silos. Okay, so and coordinates, so you can actually see specifically where these silos are, and you can see they're scattered over a large area. But this whole area, these areas in North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, they're going to get hit with hundreds of warheads. So these areas are going to be no-go zones. This whole area here, South Dakota, North Dakota, Eastern Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, they're all going to be heavily irradiated with fallout, depending on what the wind is at the time. But you're talking about, probably almost 1,000 warheads being detonated in between these three states, which is catastrophic. The radiation is going to be insane. So if you're anywhere in the Midwest, you need to have a good fallout shelter. If you're in places like North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, places downwind of these silo fields, you need to have a good fallout shelter because the radiation is going to be insane. Think about that, hundreds and hundreds of warheads detonated in these areas here. The fallout is just going to be insane. But you can go on my website and it has the coordinates of all the silos, so you can find out if you live near one of these silos. If you do, I would personally move out if it were me. I wouldn't want to live anywhere in these silo fields, especially the way things are going now. These would be the number one targets. Okay, in a nuclear war, everybody thinks, they're going to hit, New York City. That's the first target. That's what people think. If there's a nuclear war, Russia's going to nuke New York City, or they're going to nuke LA or something. No, the first targets are going to be this right here. Okay, these silos, that's going to be the first target that they hit, are these silos, because these are our nukes. And they know that if they don't destroy these silos, we could use them against them. So this would be their first primary target, would be for them to annihilate our silos so we cannot use them to fire back at them. So they're going to go for these. Okay, this would be like one of the main targets right here. Okay, not New York City, not Chicago, this right here. Uh, 556 Savage says, facts, Greg. BRR says, God says the meek will inherit the earth. I take him at his word. How it will all work out is in his plan. Exactly, that's right. That's exactly right. The meek will inherit the earth. That's right. And for those of you guys in Canada, I made a list of nuclear war targets in Canada for you. And I have a nice little map here. This is all free, so you don't have to pay anything for it. nuclear war targets in Canada. I got a map here with all the main targets. So not a lot of targets in Canada. Canada is actually a pretty safe place to be for nuclear war. If Canada wasn't such a anti-freedom socialist country, Canada would be one of the best prepper states, prepper countries in the world, because they have so many resources. They have very low population. There's a vast area of unpopulated wilderness with a lot of forest cover, wild game, clean water, fish, everything. I mean, the only downside is obviously the cold and the short growing season, but that makes up for it with all the game and fish. If you're a decent hunter, decent fisherman, you can live off of moose and caribou and salmon, and all the different animals up there. It's just the population of Canada is all in the southern part of Canada along the border with the U.S. That's where 90% of Canadians live, right along the U.S. border. And north of there, you literally have nothing. So if it wasn't for the anti-freedom and socialist government in Canada, Canada would be an excellent place for preppers. One of the safest places in the world, probably. Just because there's not a whole lot of targets up there for nuclear war. There's a few targets, but nothing massive. They would get hit with a few nukes, but it wouldn't be anything huge, nothing like the U.S. The terrain could kill you. Yeah, if it's cold, the weather could kill you up there, but it could also help you. It'll keep people away. First of all, most human beings, they don't want to go to cold areas, right? I mean, if you had your choice of a place to live, if I said, do you want to live in, Nunavut, Northwest Territories, or do you want to live in Florida or, Costa Rica? I mean, nobody wants to move to Nunavut, right? So in that sense, yes, it's cold. Yes, it can kill you. But if you have some basic skills and preparation, that can be your safety, because you have that cold weather and the deep snow and the ice that keeps the crowds of people out, and the permafrost prevents development, so it doesn't get crowded there. They can't build a lot there. So that can be like a natural barrier, basically, to all the hordes of people when society collapses, and you're going to have millions and millions of people flooding out from big cities, going to the surrounding countryside looking for resources. Because when SHTF happens, people in the cities, they're going to realize that the cities have no resources. There's no fish, there's no game, there's no water even. I mean, in a big city, you don't even have fresh water. Where are you going to get water from? I guess you can go on your roof and collect rainwater. You're not going to be able to catch fish, though. You're not going to be able to shoot a deer or a moose or something. Not only that, but you have millions of other people that are starving and hungry, and they're going to become your enemy. They're going to try to take what you have. They're going to attack you. So people are going to flood out from the cities, and the cold and the ice and the snow can be a natural barrier. Just look at Russia during the world wars. All these countries tried to invade Russia, like Napoleon, Hitler, and they all failed because of the winter. The Russian winter kept out all those armies, and they failed. The Germans, the Nazis, they failed. Napoleon failed because of the cold, and that's something to think about. One thing about Canada is part of the NORAD treaty with the U.S. So Canada, we have early warning radars in Canada. But Canada is actually quite a large country, and their territory goes all the way up here into the Arctic. Look at that. It's massive, bigger than the U.S., actually. And it's just all unspoiled wilderness. All the people just live down here: Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec City. Everything up here, there's just literally nothing. This area is just full of game, endless amounts of hunting and fishing. It's just not, endless resources. You have firewood, you have water. Canada's not dry. There's water there all the time. So ocean salmon could be a problem. Canada has a population of 39 million. Yeah, so 39 million people spread out over such a large area. That's crazy to think about. One thing dry in Canada is their ginger ale. That's funny. Yeah, the Canada Dry. That's funny. Jackie M says lots of cool critters in Canada and good food. I've hated seeing Canada get run over by their dictator like the USA. Yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad what's happening in Canada. We just have to pray and hope that there's a change there and some sanity returns to Canada. Lynn Dunn, yeah, Dark Winter is going to be coming back soon. Sometime in the next, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I'll have an episode up. Yeah, the mountains of British Columbia and Alberta are just magnificent. Yeah, let's see if we can look at some pictures here. I always like to look at Google Earth and look at some of the. Look at this nice waterfall, some random waterfall. Look at this canyon. This is insane. Look how beautiful that is. Somewhere in British Columbia here. Let's just click on some of these areas. Look at these huge mountains here. It's just insane. Just endless wilderness. It's all over. It's crazy. So it looks like that RC-135 that took off from the UK is now landing. Looks like it's going to be landing in Abu Dhabi, possibly. The RC-135, the reconnaissance plane. It might be landing in the UAE or maybe somewhere else. I don't know. We'll have to see. We have that Sikorsky helicopter just took off from the Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier right here. You see it? Taking off right now. So this is the latest position of the Dwight Eisenhower. You can see right here where this helicopter is, right there. So look where our the Eisenhower carrier is basically dead center in the Persian Gulf right now. It's dead center right next to Qatar, which makes sense because we have bases in Qatar. We have air bases there. But you can see this helicopter is just taking off from that Eisenhower carrier. So it's pretty crazy. This is interesting. One of Russia's KGB planes is flying over the eastern Mediterranean. It had its transponder turned off. 223rd Flight Unit. That's pretty interesting. (223rd Flight Unit) provides passenger and cargo transport for the president of the Russian Federation. Interesting. Had its transponder turned off. Weird. Who knows where it came from, but looks like it might have been in Egypt. I mean, who knows? See, I'm just checking the chat here. Just going through the chat, seeing what you guys are saying here. Yeah, we're supposed to get snow this weekend. Maybe I'll check the weather and do a quick little weather update. We're supposed to get a big storm this weekend. In my area, I'm supposed to get a lot of snow, but I saw like the Northeast, the eastern cities are supposed to get a lot of rain and wind Sunday. We have flood watches up for the entire eastern U.S. Look at this, guys. Check this out. Look at all these flood watches here, all these areas shaded in green. We got flood watches up from D.C. all the way up to Maine. Check that out. That's insane, guys. Let's just see what's going on in New York City. See what the forecast is there. Flood watch in effect from December 10th, 4 p.m. to December 11th, 6 a.m. Up in excess of 3 inches of rain in New York City. Wow. You guys remember, what was it, last year when they had the subways were flooded and there was like massive amounts of water coming out of the subways in New York City? That was insane, and the whole streets were flooded. That was crazy. It was like a river in Brooklyn and in New York City. It was like just a river. It was insane. Minraja, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Ross Snyderman says, you're right in the bullseye. Let's see, what does the National Weather Service say? They don't really have a good update. There's not much real information from the National Weather Service on it, but it looks like there's going to be a few inches of rain. Looks like this whole area here, New Jersey, Eastern PA, Eastern Maryland, Delaware, New York, all these areas are going to be drenched. Lots of wind. Also, there's going to be a lot of wind too. A strong cold front continues across the central U.S., reaching the East Coast on Sunday. Gusty winds and snow are expected for the Rockies, Northern Plains, and Upper Midwest through Saturday. Severe thunderstorms are forecast late Saturday from East Texas into the Tennessee River Valley. Heavy rain is expected for the East Coast and high winds for coastal Long Island into New England late Sunday. Let's see what the winds are going to be here. So they have Suffolk County under a high wind watch. Gusts up to 60 miles per hour possible. Wow, that's almost like a hurricane. Winds 30 to 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 60 miles per hour. I'm sure there's going to be some hazardous beach conditions here. The surf is going to be insane, I'm sure. Wow. Let's see what they have for Cape Cod area. Cape Cod also is under high wind watch. Gusts up to 65 miles per hour for Cape Cod, including Block Island. Wow. That's going to be huge. Wow. That's going to be major. It could be some widespread power failures in Long Island, Cape Cod, Rhode Island, those coastal areas there in New England. They're going to get hit hard. So if you're in New England, especially coastal New England, be on high alert. Make sure you're getting prepared for possible power outages this coming Sunday. Paul Pardue, is a dosimeter a good idea for checking residual radiation? Yes. Dosimeters, you can check for residual radiation, definitely. Most dosimeters can, it's not just a dosimeter, it's also a Geiger counter too. So that's what makes dosimeters superior to Geiger counters, because Geiger counters, they won't save the radiation. They can't track the radiation dose over time, which is really more important. You want to know how much radiation you're absorbing over time. But yeah, most dosimeters have a Geiger counter built in, so you can hear if there's any high doses, any areas of residual radiation. Most of the residual radiation is going to be in areas that are where fallout is going to settle. So, like, think about places where, like, if there's rain, like where rainwater goes, like runoff, like storm drains, river bottoms, valleys, anywhere that, just think of like when it rains and you see like the dirt washing down the road, and that dirt ends up settling into like a little storm drain or culvert. Areas like that where rainwater is going to take the fallout, and where that fallout is going to settle after the rain stops, runoff areas, that's where you're going to have hot spots. You can also have what's known as rain out. Rain out is like you literally have radioactive rain, or radioactive snow, which can happen. Mary Beth says, thanks, NYPrepper, going to sleep for real now, so good night. Good night, Mary Beth. Bob is asking me, how did I become so knowledgeable? I just always was interested in nuclear war. I've been studying it for years, reading all kinds of books and stuff. It's just something that always interested me. How do you protect your electronics from an EMP? You can get Mylar Ziploc bags, and that'll protect them. That's what I have. I have little Mylar Ziploc bags, and I put my critical electronics in there. There's all different companies out there that make them. There's one company that I did a review for them. Alpha Omega Survival Supply. They make like nice EMP proof bags with Cordura on the outside. So check out Alpha Omega Survival Supply. They make some nice stuff. There was a crazy video the other night showing all the dead fish in Japan washing up on the shore. It was like thousands and thousands of dead fish. It was insane. I don't know if that was from Fukushima or what, but this is really interesting, this Russian plane here. Very interesting. Oh, wow. Looks like the U.S. recon plane landed in Abu Dhabi. Okay. It's about to land in Abu Dhabi. So it looks like they're moving a recon plane to that part of the world. Obviously a sign that they're preparing for something. So things are really going to pop off soon, guys. And when things do pop off, I'm gonna go live 24/7 if I have to. If Venezuela invades Guyana or whatever happens, I will go live and cover it, like I've done in the past with Ukraine getting invaded, with the Prigozhin uprising, with Israel and Hamas. I always go live anytime there's a world event like that. That's what separates me from a lot of the other channels on prepping, is that I go live when there's major events like that. And I try to cover it because it's important to know what's going on. What are you prepping for? You need to know what's going on in the world. So I think I'm going to wind it down, guys. I've been on here for a while. And I'm going to be back probably tomorrow night with another live stream. What do you guys think? Another live stream tomorrow night. Roaming Prepper. How's it going, Roaming Prepper? You said you had to run errands. I might do some like live streams that are a little more, not so much just news and doom and gloom all the time. I might do some like more informative live streams, maybe some more like more stuff on nuclear war survival, more stuff on prepping, or maybe I'll work it into the news streams also afterwards, like I've been doing. Roaming Prepper says, thanks for what you do. Godspeed. No problem, dude. Hope you're doing well. Aldo Schmedek says, at our military bases, I always saw 3 to 4 inch aluminum walls around them for shielding. Interesting. That's interesting. You know what my biggest fear is? Lorna says, do the news first. James says, campfire stream. Yeah, I'll do some of these news streams in front of the campfire. I'll do a fire and I'll do some of these in front of the fire, as long as it's not super cold out. It's we've been blessed with very warm weather so far, but if it's like 15 degrees outside, I'm not going to do that. I think my computer may freeze, but as long as it's warm enough outside, I might do something like that. But my biggest fear has always been if Russia were to use a cobalt bomb over the Midwest and contaminate our food supply. Cobalt bombs, they can irradiate an area for like 5 to 10 years. And if, let's say, Russia detonated a bunch of cobalt bombs over the Midwest, they would completely contaminate our major fertile soil in the country. And we would have a massive issue there. Ross Niderman says, roasting marshmallows stream. That's funny. I'll do that. That's a good idea, actually. That's a great idea. Green Thumb Prepper says, Greg, as a proud Canadian, I just wanted to say that it's only the crazy liberals that are trying to make Canada a socialist country. There are many of us up here that are conservatives. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I'm not saying all Canadians are like that. I'm saying the country in general is, as a country, they're socialist and liberal and all that. It doesn't mean that the citizens are, but, politically, that's what it is, unfortunately. Just like New York, where I used to live, New York is a, very liberal state, and it doesn't mean every New Yorker is like that, but it is what it is, the government controls everything, and, so, I didn't mean to offend anybody. So I definitely know a lot of conservatives in Canada. I have some conservative friends in Canada, so Aldo Schmedak says most Canadians are cool. Seems the left are in Quebec or Vancouver, just like the USA, New York City, and LA. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's always the big cities. 556 Savage says, fight for your Second Amendment. Don't let them take your guns. Thank you, Roaming Prepper, for the donation. I appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much. And I got to check your channel out and see what you've been up to. I've been so busy, I just haven't had a chance to watch anybody else, you know. Thank you for that donation, though. I appreciate it. Sign of the Times says, hi, Greg. I'm from Michigan, and I worry a lot about our lakes getting poisoned. Interesting. Yeah, they could get poisoned. Yeah. So I think I'm going to wind down the stream, guys, and I'll be back probably tomorrow night with another one, more breaking news. And I'll do some updates throughout the day, video updates on the breaking news. So, I'll see you guys on the next one. Roaming Prepper says, we're all juggling work, family, and then try to fit in our YouTube. It's tough. Be safe out there. Thank you, Roaming Prepper. I appreciate it. Aldo says, if you have carbide buttons and chamber reamers for barrels making printing tools, yeah, that's a good thing to have. Yeah, if you have machine tools or if you know a gunsmith and you're friends with them during SHTF, that could be very handy. Is knowing a gunsmith or being one. It's definitely very handy. If you have to repair a firearm, rechamber it, set the barrel back if it gets worn out. Critical skills and tools. Michael Gagliardi says, I will watch the replay. Just got here, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Oh, cool. Another Pennsylvania viewer here. Sign of the Times says, thank you, Greg, for all you do. You're my go-to every day. If I didn't have you telling me what was going on in the world, I don't think anyone else would. God bless. Thank you, Sign of the Times. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for all your support and all your prayers. I see all the comments. You guys pray for me, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all your kind comments. You guys are awesome. I think we have an awesome community here. Moderators are all really cool. And so it's really a blessing to have you guys here all the time in these streams. I have a lot of cool things planned for the channel for some of you guys that watch me more for the prepping stuff and not so much the news. I have a bunch of cool stuff planned. So just be patient. If news is not your thing, I have some other stuff planned. So I'll be working on that very soon. Grandma Deb says your videos are very helpful. What is the warping sound? I don't know. Warping sound. What do you mean? Maybe someone walking upstairs. I don't know. Combine prepping with the news. Sounds good. Yeah, so I'll do that. Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Mike Gagliardi says, love the news. Aldo says, look up the Serbu GB22 and watch his barrel process. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Ross says, go get him, Greg. Yeah. I every now and then I gotta do the mod thing. It's kind of satisfying. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys have a great night. I'm going to wind it down. Grandma Deb says, my 5 sons found your videos very helpful. Thank you, Grandma Deb. I appreciate that. And that's nice. Yeah, I'll keep doing the videos. I'll definitely keep doing the video updates. It's hard to fit everything into 10 minutes with all the news. If I can fit it into 10 minutes, I try, but usually with so much news going on, it ends up being 20 minutes or more sometimes. But I always try to squeeze it as short as possible. So it was great to see you guys again. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, probably another live stream and video updates on the news. So have a good night, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. And until then, till tomorrow, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.